guys, Dan Stevers here for danstevers.com. And what we're going to be talking about today is this is just going to be like intro to After Effects. So if you just got the program and you're super stoked to finally have this program that you've been hearing so much about, but you've opened it up and you're just looking at all these buttons and you have no idea what the button does. I'm going to show you some simple tools that will get you rocking inside of After Effects, and we'll also show you how to render out your movies. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we're going to open up After Effects, and I'm using CS 5.5 here, but any other, if you have 4 or 3 or any other version, it's pretty much it's going to be all the same for what we're doing in this tutorial. All right, so immediately when we open the program here, we don't see a video window right here. We feel like there should be something right here, but there's not. And the reason for that is because we haven't created a new composition. And the composition is where all of your animation, all your video is going to be taking place. So if we go up to composition here and we go to new composition, this is going to start a new composition for us. Let's name it My First Composition. And now I have a preset here made for this, and you can take a look at this and maybe this will help you out a bit. Maybe you'll like this, but you can certainly do your own. The width of this is 1280 by 720, and these are in pixels here. And this is called 720p, and that's why I have this labeled as 720p, because this is the dimensions for an HD video. It can go up higher than that, but this is a good base. This is what I like to work at. It's comfortable. Pixel aspect ratio, I keep it to square. If you're working with just standard definition video, not HD video, or even some HD video has a different size, a different aspect ratio for the pixels, but square pixels is going to be good for us right now. The frame rate, I have it set to 23.976, and this is what they refer to as 24p. So if you've heard that phrase 24p, it means 24 frames a second, but it's actually not 24 frames a second. It's actually 23.976 frames per second. And I'm not going to go into why that is, but you should just be aware that 24p is not actually just 24 frames. It's actually 23.976. Our resolution is set to half right now, and that's fine. We can bump that up later. I'll show you why we keep it at half for right now. And our duration right here, we can go ahead and set that to like 10 seconds. So I think we're good to go right now. We'll leave the background color black, and so we'll hit OK. And so immediately now we have something here. So now this resembles what a video program should look like. So we have our composition right here, and you'll notice over on the side here in our project, this is called our project pane right here. We have our composition right here, My First Composition, and it's also right here in the composition tab. It says up here, My First Composition, and there it is. Yeah, let's go over some of the tools here. Right now, this is our tools panel right up here. And right now what we have selected is just our generic selection tool. I'm pretty sure you can guess what that does. That's just for general selecting of things. We have a hand right here. The hand tool, sometimes I use it, but I never actually go up here to use this. What the hand tool does is you can drag your composition around. And so if you want to see a particular part of it, you can drag it over here or drag it over there. And then we have our magnification tool, our zoom tool right here. And if we click this, it zooms all the way in. We can resize our composition a little bit so we can actually see it. Now this is the actual size of 720p video right here. So it's pretty big, and that is the reason why I had the resolution set at 50% before. The resolution is down here too. It's right now it says 100% because we're zoomed in. I can zoom in more, and now we're at 200%. But I'm going to set it back to 50% because 50% we can actually see the whole thing in the composition there, so we don't have to resize it to try and see the whole thing. I'm going to go back to the hand, and I'm going to put this back in the center here. I'm going to resize some of these windows so it looks nice again. I'm going to skip over some of these tools right now because we're not going to be using them. Maybe in another tutorial we'll go over these ones. But we're going to focus on the type tool right here. So come up here and click on the type tool. And so we're going to add some type to our composition. So now you can see our selection tool has turned into this type tool right here. So I'm going to click anywhere in the composition, and so that gives us, you'll see this red line here, that means we're ready to type. So I'll just say my first project. And once you're done with that, come up and hit the selection tool again, and that'll get your typeset there. And now you can grab it now that you have the selection tool, and you can drag it around. We'll put it just in the middle for now. And okay, so we got something going here. Now you'll notice down here, and this is called the timeline down here, this whole section down here, this is your timeline. We added the type up here, but it also added it down here. And so this timeline down here is actually where a lot of the animating goes on in After Effects. You're not working too much up in this window up here, you're working down here in this timeline right here. And so let's go ahead, because right now if we hit space, there's nothing going on because we haven't animated anything. But you'll see this, the timeline bar here is scrubbing across time, so it is playing right now even though there's nothing to be played because we haven't animated anything. So I'll hit space again to stop that, and I'm going to drag this timeline marker up here by grabbing anywhere along this gray timeline up here. I'm going to set it back to 0 because this is our 0 marker over here. This is 1 second right here, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. It may look different in yours. Maybe yours is zoomed in. Down here on the bottom, this is our zoom tool right here. So this lets us zoom in. So now we're at 12 frames. We're at 1 second there. But we can zoom out here. So we can zoom into frames, individual frames, like super close there. So that's 1 frame, 2 frame, 3 frames. And the frames work, since we're at 24p, that means it's 24 frames a second. So we're going to have 24 of these frames per second. So we can also take this and zoom it way out here, so we can zoom it as far back as we can. So now we can see our whole timeline because we had it set to 10 seconds. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to animate this so we can bring this video to life here. So if we select our type over here and we hit this arrow right here, it's going to twirl down some options here. And we're going to be looking at the transform option because I think what we want to do is we want the text to start up here and just go boom and drop down and just stay there. Well, we'll see what we feel like afterwards, but that's the plan right now. So yeah, so if you click the arrow over here next to the name of the project here, and we twirl down the arrow for transform, this is where you're going to find our position attribute. So you might be wondering, okay, so how do we actually set a keyframe here? So this is how we set a keyframe. These are stopwatches next to all the attributes. And that means if there's this empty stopwatch next to the attribute, that means that you can animate it. So we want to animate the position. So we want it to start up here and end down here. So since we want it to end down there, let's go to like 1 second, and we'll drag our timeline marker right here to 1 second. And we're gonna hit this little icon right here. And that's going to set a keyframe. Okay, so we hit that. This icon changes right there from an empty stopwatch to a grayed in stopwatch, and you'll see this. Now we have this keyframe right here. So now that we have the end keyframe set, because this is where we wanted it to end, we're going to go forward in time. So we're going to go to the zero time right here. And there's a couple ways we can animate this. We can either grab our type and we can just drag it up, and you can see automatically a keyframe has been made for that now that we set the stopwatch. Since we set that first keyframe right there, we can go anywhere in time and just drag it, and that's gonna set a new keyframe for it. So we'll go back to here, 0, and we'll set it up at the top here. So now if we hit space, okay, your very first animation, and it's pretty ugly, and hey, but at least we're actually getting something done here. So we're on the right track here. So the playback's going to keep looping when it gets to the end there. Here's a tip: because we only want to see this first second of animation, we don't want to see the 9 seconds of nothingness after that first animation. So I'm going to hit space to stop it. And you can grab this little yellow guy here that says work area end when you roll over it. So if you grab this yellow guy and you drag it over, I'll drag it to like 3 seconds. That now means that when I hit the space bar, that's going to set the new in and out points for this. So now we don't have to watch the 9 seconds of boring nothingness at the end there. Okay, so let's try to add a background to this. And in order to add a background, first you have to have a background. You can create things inside of After Effects, but for this I just want to find a paper image. So I'm just gonna go to Google, and I'll show you guys a good paper resource that I like to use a lot. So I'm gonna Google Bash Corpo. And don't ask me what that means because I do not know, but I do know that they have awesome paper textures here. So we're going to go to this website here, Bashcore Textures. Oh my gosh, look at all these free paper textures here that you can use in your project. So I'll just go up here, choose this top one. Looks awesome. I'm going to right click on it, save it to just my desktop. That's fine. And so now that we're back inside of After Effects, let's import it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to File. I'm going to go to Import. I'm going to import File. And on my desktop, there's my new paper texture. Okay, so now that I have it imported, it shows up in the project window over here. So now we have 2 items here. We have our paper and our composition here. So in order to get the papers into our composition here, just simply select the paper and drag it into your timeline here. Now it's important when you're dragging things into the timeline here, it's very important what is on top and what is on bottom. So you can just think about it that if it's on the top, that means that it's the closest to you and the most visible, and if it's on the bottom, that means it's behind. So I want the paper behind the type here, so I am going to drag it behind there. But now we're noticing, since our type is white here, that things kind of look horrible right now. So let's select our type right there, select it in the timeline. And now this is our type window up here. Now, if you don't see this, you can go up to Window and go to Character right here, and that will either show it or hide it. So I'll go down and show it. And you have your fonts right here. You can pick different fonts, and you can also change the color. You know, this works a lot like Photoshop if you're familiar with that. So I'm going to click on the fill color here. And we'll just make it like a dark gray color here. Okay, now we can actually see things here. So if we hit space right now, we have our type coming down, and we have our paper texture background in there. And let's see, what else can we do this to make it start looking nicer? Well, you might be thinking that the animation looks a little rigid here. It looks a little wonky as it's coming in. It's just hitting it and it's just stopping. And this looks like something that you might have seen, like, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. This might have been okay then, but it looks pretty lame now. So let's try and have the animation ease into its stopping point here. And in order to do that, it's pretty easy. So you just select we want it to ease into it, which means we want to work with this second keyframe here. So in order to have it ease in, right click on the keyframe and go to Keyframe Assistant. And we are going to go to, we'll just go to Easy Ease. And this is going to do what we want. So now if we hit space, you can see it's a little softer coming in to its landing spot there. It starts out quick and then it kind of eases in a little bit. Now, if you wanted it to be even smoother coming in, we can adjust that. This might be getting a little advanced, but you know, I think this is going to be, you're going to like what you're going to be able to do with this. So if we right click on that keyframe again, oh, never mind. Right click on the keyframe, and if we go to keyframe velocity, this might look kind of weird and might not make sense here, but the only thing that you need to be concerned with is that you have two values here. You have the incoming and you have the outgoing. Since this is coming in to this second keyframe right here, the one that we have the easy ease on, we're going to want to be dealing with the incoming, because the incoming, it means it's going to ease into it. We don't want, if we were easing out of the first keyframe here, if we wanted to start slow and then speed up and then end really quick here, we would be adjusting the outgoing. But we're going to be dealing with the incoming here. And what we want to change is the influence here. So if we want it to come in smoother, just simply increase the value. So I'll put it to like 75 right there. And I'll hit OK. And so now if we hit space, now you'll notice that it's coming in even smoother on the landing there. So look, it looks significantly nicer than the alternative. If you're thinking, okay, I set this as an easy ease, but I think I want it to just be the linear keyframe, which is what it was before. Right now, it's an easy ease keyframe. If we want to revert it to an easy ease keyframe, you hold Command and click on the keyframe. And that will do it right there, but I'm gonna undo that. So I'm gonna come up to edit and I'm gonna go undo. But should you decide that you want to revert it back to a linear keyframe, just hold Command and click on the keyframe, and you'll notice that the keyframe changes its icon back to the same one as it was before, and that lets you know that it's just a basic linear keyframe there. I'm gonna hit Command Z, which is the same as coming up here. That Command Z undoes it. Okay, so now we have something going on here. Now, what if we want to change the color of the background? We want to make it look a little bit nicer. That's pretty easy to do. Select the layer of the paper, which is this one on the bottom here. Come up to Effect, and let's just go to Color Correction and then Hue Saturation. This is a pretty straightforward way to change the color of something. I think I want it to be a little bit darker. There we go. And I want to colorize this so I can make it a color. Oh, wait, that undid our stuff up there. That's fine. So yeah, just click on Colorize there, and we're going to change our lightness. We're going to bring it down a little bit. And maybe change our hue. Find something that's gonna be okay. There we go, that blue looks nice. Maybe we'll change our type again so it looks okay with that blue. Maybe we'll make it a kind of like a blue color too. Okay, that's looking pretty good there. I'm gonna extend this out, our timeline here, a bit so we can add a little bit more animation to it. Now that we have our first one right here, now let's have it exit too, because we have it entering, and now let's have it exit. So I'm gonna come down to about 2 seconds here, and I'm gonna hit this button over here, and if you drag over it, it says add or remove keyframe at current time, and that's exactly what we want to do. So we're going to add a keyframe there. And I could, you notice if I did just drag this, you notice that it automatically makes a keyframe down here, but I don't want it to be moving at all from here to here. So that's what clicking this button over here accomplishes. It basically just means that nothing is going on between these two keyframes. So we have it enter, and then nothing goes on here, and then we have another keyframe, and now we'll go to 3 seconds, and now we're going to have it exit. So we'll just take it and drag it over, just like we did before, and that's automatically going to make a keyframe here. Now you'll notice that the icons of these look similar to our Easy Ease keyframes before, but I want to revert these to linear keyframes for now. So let's take a look at our animation now. It eases in, and then it zips out. Okay, so now I want it to ease out. See, it eases in here, and I want it to do the opposite. I want it to ease out as it's exiting. So I'll take that keyframe right there, and I will go to Easy Ease, and I'm going to do the same thing before, where I go to keyframe velocity, and I increase the outgoing ease, and I'll put that to 75.2, same as our other keyframe, except for in the opposite direction. This is outgoing, not incoming this time. So it eases in, and then it eases out. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so now that we've got this going here, maybe I think this is good, and it gives you a good idea of how to use these keyframes here. So like I said, anything down here that has a stopwatch next to it, you can animate. So maybe just to show you what's going on, we'll go to scale, and I'll click the stopwatch button here. And then maybe I'll come in between these two keyframes here, and I'll make it like 120% scale. And then maybe I'll come back to this next one, and then I'll set it back to 100%. So basically it's coming in, and then it's increasing in scale a little bit, and then it's leaving. And we can use the same Easy Ease keyframes on any of these attributes over here that we used on our position. It doesn't only just work for position, and I'll show you what I mean. So if we select this keyframe, and we go to Keyframe Assistant, and we go to Easy Ease, and we go to the second one here, and we go to Easy Ease. So now it's kind of okay, so that's looking okay. You know, I actually think I want to have this middle keyframe ease too, because I want it to slowly ease into to getting big, and then taper off in the middle, and then slowly ease out. So I'm gonna do the same thing to the middle one. I'm gonna go and do Easy Ease. So we'll hit spacebar, and we'll check this out. Okay, so you can see how this works with the keyframing here. We could animate any of this. We could animate the opacity down here. We could have it fade in. We could animate the rotation. We could have it do some crazy rotation. We could do whatever we want. You know, that's the beauty of After Effects, is that everything is animatable. Is that a word? Inside of After Effects. Okay, so now that we've got this little scene right here, now how do we actually do anything with this? Like how do I get this into iMovie? How do I get it into Adobe Premiere or Final Cut? So let's go over that. So if you're all set with your render, it's very important to make sure that you look at the work area end here, because this is the area that you're going to be rendering out. So if I rendered it right now, I would only have this 4 seconds. If I had something going on over here, it wouldn't include it. So I would have to drag it to wherever I wanted in order to get it there. So maybe I'll just render out about 5 seconds of this project right here. So now once I'm ready to render out, I'm going to go up to Composition, and I'm gonna go to Make Movie. So this is how we export inside of After Effects. This is the best way to do it. So we'll click on Make Movie, and now you'll notice that the timeline has been replaced down here with this render queue window. And we still have our composition here, it's just in a tab. So I can select back to our composition, or I can go back to the render queue at any time whenever I want. So let's check out what we got going on in here. So we have our name of our composition right here, my first composition. We have our render settings. These are you'll rarely ever want to change these here. The thing that we want to be looking at is output module here. So let's click on that. Click on the yellow type there, and this brings up this dialog. And it says our format right here. If you're on a PC, it may be Windows Video right there. But you can change that. You can change it to whatever you want. I like working in QuickTimes. It's a great file to work with, especially if you're on a Mac. It's good on a PC too, though. So I'm going to leave it at QuickTime. And then I'm going to go to this window here that says Format Options and click on that. And this is our video codec. And the codecs work inside of the QuickTime file type. And you can choose various different codecs depending on the type of quality that you're going for. Animation is really great, just like an all-purpose. It's really, really high quality. There's some other good ones in here too, but I'm not going to spend time going through them all. But animation is fine right now, and I'm guessing it's probably going to be fine for your product too. So let's click OK. We're good with that. And we don't have any audio in this. If we did, we'd want to click that to output it too, but we don't, so we'll uncheck that. And now everything looks good in here, so let's click OK. And now the other thing we're going to want to look at is output to right here. So we'll click on the yellow type there, and this is telling After Effects where we want to save it. So I'm just going to save it to the desktop, and it will name the file whatever the name of the composition is. And my composition was named my first composition, so that's the name for this, and that's fine. So let's click Save. That's perfect. So now once we're ready to render, we're going to come over to this button here that says Render, and we're going to click on it. Boom. And your very first product is rendering, and you can see the yellow bar going across once it's all the way full. You hear that wonderful little sound, and that means your video is ready. So let's go to our desktop here, and let's check out our little movie here that we made. So we'll just click play there, and you'll notice the video, we were working at half res inside of After Effects here. It's going a little slow just because it's a big file here, but yeah, it's all set here. It's ready to be taken into Final Cut or whatever program you want to edit in. Just drag this little clip that you made in there, and you're good to go. So this hopefully it was helpful for you if you're brand new to After Effects and you're trying to figure out what all these buttons do. I'll do another tutorial, and we'll go over a little bit more advanced stuff, and we'll go over more of the tools there, so you get more comfortable with what all these buttons mean inside of After Effects, because there's a lot of them. Yeah, so I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you guys next time.